Welcome to the Sheffield Sunday As Bill Sees It meeting. This is a main share meeting, and today it is with great pleasure and much gratitude that we welcome Thierry F. from New York, who's come to share for about 40 minutes, after which we will open up for general sharing, or if you'd like to ask a question. So thank you so much, Thierry. It's wonderful to have you here. The floor is yours.
I hope so.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Thanks, guys. My name is Terry. I'm an alcoholic. It's an honor and privilege to be here. Um, I see so many people that I love so much on here. I know I'm gonna forget some, but I love you. Thank you for coming here. And Cindy, Tony, Debbie, uh, John's on here. Katie, what's up? Um, Maureen. Just want to shout you guys out. Lavelle was just texting me. He told me I look handsome. So thank you, Lavelle. Love you, buddy. He's one of the greatest mediocre speakers AA's ever seen. Just kidding, buddy. I love you, man. Um, who else is on here? Vicky. Hey, Vicky. Tom. What's up, Tom? Tom's in the future right now. Welcome back, buddy. Um, yeah, it's an honor and privilege to be back with you guys. Young, thank you for inviting me here. I know he's unavailable to be here. With I have some sad news for you, Young. Unfortunately, after today would be my last day speaking on Sundays. I had a talk with one of my mentors, someone I greatly admire while I was in California, and he gave me some advice on how to have balance in the home. And I came up with an agreement with my wife that I would no longer have any AA commitments on Sunday, and it would be family day as well. She is also the decision maker prior to me speaking, so I should thank her for allowing me to be here. Thank you, T. Um, and I'm in her car right now, actually, because they're upstairs sleeping. My son had a rough night, but you know, it is good to be here, and it's good to be sober today. Um, so- it's just funny. I picked this reading just because it just something it like sang to me for some reason. And then I see Tony on here. I'm like, Jesus. There's even more better reason why I picked that reading. There was no coincidences at all. And what's up, Texas? What's up, Texas T? That's my girl right there. Yeah, so many people I know. It's crazy, I met Tony. I remember being at your meeting. Tony's one of a very select few that have seen me outright mental defective. Hence to see the shirt, outright mental defective. I got that from Paige. Outright mental defective when I was trying to get sober. I just went to meetings because I heard my story and I liked hearing my story because I thought I was the only person that thought or felt the way I thought, and I didn't realize they were twins. I had twins all over the world. And I keep going to this little meeting in a little country town called Yonkers, New York. Right, Tony. And I kept hearing my story, and I kept going, and I was lit every single time I went. But I kept going for some odd reason. And I'm thinking about Tony right now because I'm like, end this reading together because um this old way of life, there's a condition to it that means something's got to die. And that alcoholic mind or ego is fighting for its life when you're doing this, when you're doing what we do. And walking into a meeting is doing what we do and part of it. And I'm just thinking about what those guys at Pathway were thinking about when I was literally killing myself in front of them. Like, and I've worked with a lot of people since, and I've had a similar opportunity to watch people get decimated by this. I know that I'm not talking when I'm talking to someone who is suffering or hurting. I know I'm not talking to them. I know I'm talking to the disease of alcoholism when I'm talking to them. And there's certain ways on how to penetrate that, usually the language of the heart. Sometimes I just ask God to help me on what to say to them, because it's like talking to a wall. And I was a wall, right, Tony? I was a wall. And I rode that pony to the bitter end. I was someone who has been badly mangled, to the point where people would save my voicemails because they thought I was going to die any day. They wanted to hear my voice just in case I passed away. I had people who had restraining orders on me. I had people who were, my family just, I just thought about my dad, and it was funny. Right before my dad passed, I hit like a 5 year mark, no, 6 year mark, sorry. And I got sober in July. I don't like July. June 1st, 2019. I got sober then, and when I hit my 6 year mark, I remember talking to my dad, and he asked me what I was doing, and I said, "Oh, I have plans of doing some AA stuff," and he's like, "Oh, I forgot you were a knucklehead. I forgot that you were cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and that old life was gone. That that tornado roaring through the lives of other people, but I'll let everybody know right here and right now. If I took a drink, that person will be easily resurrected again. I have a daily reprieve, meaning I'm sitting on death row and I'm delaying it one day at a time through work and action and with God's power in order to keep me separated from taking action on that insane idea. Um, I'm sober today because of grace. I think I just got lucky. And I think what that means to me is I got lucky because I listened before it was too late. Uh, and I am a firm believer that God talks to all of us, all the time. It's just the receiver is just constantly blocked or is not listening. I mean, I've been with people where I've had the best delivery on instructions, on how to do the instructions, on my experience with the instructions in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and they don't get it. One of them too, where I have this thing called ADD. I think you guys have heard me say this. Alcoholic defiance disorder. A chief characteristic of every single alcoholic is that we're defiant. And why is that? Yet again, back to the alcoholic ego. It's fighting for its life. I was talking to my friend in California about this, the self-centeredness. And there's a guy who passed away. I admire him and his wife. She's currently alive. His name was Charlie Parker. He passed away. He said it's easier to get an alcoholic to quit drinking than it is to get him to quit playing God. And and that's so true. I mean, like the window of opportunity for us is so large in the beginning because of weakness and because of despair and because of finally surrendering to the bottle, is that we're ready to do anything. I mean, if you told me to roll around on the ground like a puppy, just to stay sober, I would do it. Like, get the hell out of here. What are you talking about, right? I'll start yapping back at you, right? But that was the type of willingness that I was gifted. Desperation did scream louder in the craving that was beyond my control. But today I don't stay here because of desperation. I stay here because of inspiration today. I stay here because of you. Being that person at Tony's meeting and dying, I had no one around me. I had open heart surgery. You know how many people came to see me? Zero. No one came to see me. And today I have friends all over the world. You guys are going to get me to cry right now. I don't usually cry. I have people that I could talk to. I have people that love me and care about me, who check in on me. Like there's a guy here as well. I call him my unicorn. You know who you are. And thank you for saving my life. Me. I remember I was in Minnesota when I get off the airport. I took a one-way ticket out there and not looking to come back, just willing to do whatever it takes. And I meet this gentleman. His name is Dwight C. And I was like sitting in the passenger seat. I'm like, this is a good job. That's what I'm thinking through my mind. Get a job, Terry. You need a job right when you're sober. Got a few days sober, right? Get a job. And I'm like, that's a kick-ass job, man. I wish I had that. Driving people from the airport to rehab. I didn't realize that he was doing that for fun and for free. He was doing it as an act of service. He had a servant's heart, and that's something that I wanted. And I'm listening to him, and he called me a unicorn, Tom. He called me a unicorn. I told him in that car, I was like, I want to do whatever. I will stay for sober living, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I don't hear that much. I'm going to hold you up to that. And I remember I spoke to him on my birthday, on my sobriety date. And we were chatting about that day and enthused by seeing someone that not just wants to do this or needs to do this, but is 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 inspired to do what we do. And I can't, I'm not going to give alcohol a bad name. Thank you, alcohol. Like it beat the poop out of me to the point that I actually had to let go of something of my old life in order to have a new one. My old life was not working. It's this lurking notion, it's always around in the back of my mind. You see, the main problem the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than in his body. Right? See, this obsession, this is like a singular thought. It's an irrational thought that just crowds out all other thoughts. Like it's just there, but a lurking notion, super quiet. It's very passive. It has angles all the time. It's hidden between kind motives, generous motives. It's even hidden by self-sacrificing motives. It's there always. I didn't think I was an alcoholic when I came to you. Or I knew I was a low bottom drug addict, but I had a very high bottom with alcohol. And it's a spectrum. I mean, what's the difference between a real alcoholic and a potential alcoholic? I'll explain. A potential alcoholic has the potential to become a real alcoholic. A real alcoholic, Sammy, you can write this down, has reached his potential. Like my friend Tony would say, he became a type 4 alcoholic in sobriety. With alcohol. See, I was very similar to the carpet slipper dude. The carpet slipper dude, if you guys read in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it's about this dude and he whenever he drank, he lost control, and that's what happened with me. I mean, I went to 4 rehabs in high school because of alcohol, right? I remember, I remember I got a DUI and I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm done driving forever. I'm not done drinking. I remember Texas, I was playing beer pong and we ran out of beer. See, like, what would be a great idea? Let's play this game of wine. Yo, bad idea, homie. Bad idea. I remember walking up the stairs back home and all of a sudden I'm like, what? And then I fall backwards. Right? I remember waking up every single morning, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. At one point, it was almost every day over the summer. And this is back when I was really young. was waking up every day throwing up, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so done with booze. This is terrible. And I look up on the counter of my bathroom, and I see a Gatorade bottle, and I'm like, that's it. It's that. It's the Gatorade. I'm done, Sammy. I'm done drinking Gatorade. I was like, I kept going. I kept going. I remember I took a drink 7 hours prior to a wedding. I ended up in New Jersey, Tony. I had no idea where I was in Hope. I was at Hoboken or somewhere. I forgot where I was. I don't know how I got there, but I remember begging for change to try and get back over the GW. And I missed the wedding because of it. I I took a drink. It took me, but I was able to stop and moderate because I was using other substances, whatever you could call it. I'm trying to be tradition nice today. My whole talk's not going to be about drugs, by the way. So calm down, tradition people. That was an old self that had to die too. I fell in love with the traditions, by the way. Right? AA comes of age 6 or 7 times. I was the upholder of the traditions, baby. And when someone would break the traditions in the meeting, I was constantly hurt, threatened, and interfered with all the time. I was disturbed. I was disturbed all the time. You see, whenever we're disturbed, it's because there's something wrong with us. We're disturbable. As a belief system, the ego becomes extremely spiritual really fast. Ego took on a different face with a kind motive. I thought I was protecting AA for the future. But in a nutshell, I was playing God. I said it earlier. It's easier to get an alcoholic to quit drinking than it is to get him to quit playing God. I stole that, by the way. Well, back to that carpet slipper dude. It's a spectrum. And yeah, I don't know where you are in your journey. I think that really smashed home because More About Alcoholism does a great job smashing home. Doesn't matter. Doesn't give a crap how old you are. You could be a real alcoholic. Doesn't give a crap if you're a woman or a man. If you're a real alcoholic, it smashes home that I've lost the ability to choose whether I'm going to drink or not. But it really smashed into my soul. It tattooed this to my soul that this is a spectrum. All right. I mean, I was in Minnesota where I met people who were real alcoholics at 19 years old, who two of them, one was 22, was a little bit older than 19, and the other one was 19. They blew fives. I was like, how's that possible? Like, you guys should be dead. One actually died. He's no longer with us. He died 4 years ago. Right? Like, it, I would always judge them. I'm like, damn, you stopped drinking at 19 years old, 20 years old. I drank longer than you've been alive. I don't care if you think you're a legend in your mind, right? Alcoholism don't care about that. Don't give a crap about that. I just got lucky because I was able to stop or moderate with other things. Alcohol was always there. What happened to me happened to me in sobriety, and I think this story is very prevalent because it was a pivot point to an old life that I had to let go, and it was a condition, like it says in the reading, in order to have a new one. You see, I came back from Minnesota and I made two amends and I was like, I'm done. I'm good. I don't need to do any more work. I've tasted a little bit of the ice cream. I've experienced a little bit of heaven, right? And I was started to bulk on amends. I remember going to Tony's meeting and telling everybody I'm on steps 9, 10, 11, and 12. And guess who was not on steps 9, 10, 11, and 12, Tony? Me. Oopsies. And you see, that spiritual experience I had from the fifth step was revelatory. It carried me for quite a long time, but it had an expiration date. It expired. And what happened was I went to this detox with a couple of big book guys, and I love these two guys, and they're great. And there were a bunch of drug addicts at this detox, and I thought it was a good opportunity to tell my drug addict story. I had 6 months of sobriety, 7 months, I think, at that time. It was December, yeah, so six. And then afterwards, I'm eating with these two guys at dinner afterwards, and one of the guys looks over to me. He's like, Terry, I'm concerned. This is the exact words. I'm concerned you're not a real alcoholic. That's what he said to me. No, don't let anyone read your big book for you people, but I'm just so grateful that he told me that today. Today. Back then, I was pissed off. I was like, what? What are you talking about? Bill's story literally stole that from me. Bill stole my story. Bill's the great plagiarizer, man. He took the steps from the Oxford Group. He took step one from Dr. Silky. That guy, he's a plagiarizer. He stole it from me. Dr. Bob, that's my boy. That's my boy, man. Me and him are like identical twins, two different eras, right? When I drink, I identify with this phenomenon of craving. I want more, right? Just like the carpet slipper dude, he drank, he wanted more, but he was able to stop and moderate because he wanted to be successful in business. He didn't suffer from the obsession until way later on. Way later on. There's some people that suffer from just the allergy. They don't just stop drinking. They just keep drinking every freaking day. They don't have a couple of days off in order to suffer from something they can't control. They just continue to drink. And afterwards, I was really angry in my life, but I stopped doing the work in general. I was not in fit spiritual condition at that time. I'm walking and I'm driving back, and I said, this is what I said, everybody. I said, maybe he's right. That's what I said. Maybe he's right. Something happened to me that I have never experienced or I was never aware. Maybe it was always there or just never aware of it. But this time it was front and center, baby. This is what I said to myself every 15 minutes of every hour for 2 weeks straight. Terry, why don't you try and step over to the nearest bar room and try some controlled drinking? Try and drink and stop abruptly. Try it more than once. I said that every single day of every single hour for 2 weeks. I had alcohol in my home. In my home. I was just giving it to people, friends and family that would come over, especially my family. And I was good. I was in a place of neutrality. I was safe and protected, but not now. I couldn't even walk by it. I could taste tequila on my mouth. I had it whispering in my ear. Was fantasizing about it. I was dreaming about it. I literally started to dream about it. I remember waking up at the edge of my bed, telling my wife, I just think I'm having dreams about drinking. I'm thinking about drinking right now. She's scared to death. She's like, oh, she's thinking about restraining order. How am I going to get out of here? There's money in the house. How am I going to make sure that you don't have your paws on it? She's telling all this stuff is going through her head. I mean, I rattled her because the disease of alcoholism made a comeback. It made a comeback. It had me in its grip. And I had a lurking notion of it. I had a reservation, you could say. And here's the thing about reservations, and if you're new here, welcome. Uh, Here's the thing about reservations, everyone. One day you're going to get angry. You know, something's going to piss you off. We're sensitive people in the recovery. We really are. Takes us a long time to outgrow that handicap. Took me about maybe 5 years to outgrow that. To the point I'm not sensitive. People just act like knuckleheads. Like I got to the point where I can't control what other people think, say, and do. I just am like, okay, whatever. You know. There's perhaps spiritually sick. Oh man, how could I love them more? I'm like on this wagon today, or this thing today that Babe Kate talks about called equanimity. I think that's how you say it. I suck at pronouncing words like that, but it means to love everybody and with intense love, no matter how much they're a scumbag. You know, Like, there's some scumbags out there in the recovery too. Yeah, in these rooms as well. There's some scummies. Trust me, I was one of them for a little while, but I'm retired. Imagine loving everyone intensely the same. I've been trying to do it. I'm asking God to help me, and it's been changing my perspective and my viewpoint of other people. It's making me love people who are unlovable, making me more tolerant of other people who are just will continue to shoot themselves in the foot and not learn from their mistakes. But I was one of them, you know, I was one of them. And that reservation, back to that, what's going to happen, anyone who is suffering from something they don't even know what's happening and suffering from what's not even happening in general, you're just suffering from a story that's in your head that you think is real. They're just thoughts, by the way, but we believe they're real based on past associations and feelings and things that old ideas that we've just proclaimed from mommy and daddy and high school or whatever you want to talk about it. But, what's going to happen is you're going to get angry. And if you have that reservation back in your head, you'll probably stub your toe on a door and you'll think drink solution, drink answer. It's so, it's so simple. It's so simple and it's scary too. Someone who is, I'm so on board with what we do that I overdid it when I didn't have to. I started to manage and control the steps in order to make my life better. Didn't work. Didn't make my life better. I said this the other day. I don't need to overdo it. I just need to do it. And you do these things that get us back to harmony. And I think I'm working with a couple people right now that remind me of myself when I was very young in recovery, where they're still drinking, but they're still coming. Whoever's drinking or had a drink and have your camera on and don't want to tell anyone, welcome. You know, we don't shoot our wounded. We know what's going on. Look, we got a way out. We got a way up and we got a way out of here. But something's got to die. There's a condition. And I've had so many experiences going from one surrender to the next, one surrender to the next, one surrender to the next. That is the whole point. This rarely have we seen a person fail to follow this path. It's not a straight line going up, baby. It's zigzag. Zigzag, 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 one surrender to the next. And it's based on my step one experience as my foundation. You know, in that moment where that gentleman said he was concerned I'm not a real alcoholic, I'm so grateful he told me that. Because it illuminated the fact that I suffer from something that's beyond my mental control. I was not aware of it. I was asleep. And it catapulted me to do something I never wanted to do, and that's amends. Those scary, pesky old amends. Oh my God. I remember I was just talking to my forgot who I was talking to about it. But that amend that I didn't want to make and I made it anyway, and I was rocketed into the fourth dimension of existence. I couldn't even dream. That gentleman that I made that amend to that I thought it was gonna go sideways, he gave me a free truck. Like and I started my own business with this truck. Something I love to do. And and I have a relationship with this individual today. You see, my relationship with God is contingent upon my relationship with you, God's children. And the ninth step, yes, I'm giving justice to these people. Yes, I'm restoring and repairing the damage that is done in the past. Yes, I'm fitting myself to be a maximum service to God and the people around me. But ultimately, I'm getting right with my relationship with God. I'm going back to harmony when I do this. And when I'm in a state of harmony, I'm not thinking about myself, which is probably the most important thing I could pass along to you, which ultimately not lets me think about drinking. When I'm so self-consumed and self-absorbed with myself, thinking about me, right? What's going to happen? I'll have an insane thought regardless of what's going to happen, but I'll act on it because I'm just thinking solely of myself. I'll give you a condition of what's recently happened to me where part of my old life or my old personality had to die. And a lot of them, a lot of experiences, especially with money. Money was a big one for me when I was in early recovery, where I had a belief system that I need money in order to live. You know, that took a long time to outgrow that, based on the fact that that's who I was before. You know, and th- I want to talk about I want to talk about a little bit more recent stuff, and I have 10 minutes left, so why not? And then I'd rather listen to what you guys got to share. I'm tired of hearing my voice. Uh, I have a son, and my son, he's the joy of my life. Um, but he has autism, and he's still nonverbal. He can't speak, and ultimately, I didn't like the role that God assigned me. I had a not a perfect picture in my head, but more of I had a not a vision either. It was more like I want life to be comfortable. That's it. That's it. I need life to be comfortable in order for me to be okay, which is a belief system. And um, it was not okay. This last year was not okay, everybody. Not okay. And it even says in the bottom of page 14, it's an alcoholic fails to enlarge his spiritual life through work and self-sacrifice for other people who can't survive the certain trials and certain low spots ahead. Bad stuff's gonna happen. You're gonna get angry. You're gonna have trauma in your life. You're gonna have people pass away. Welcome back to the land of the living, right? Welcome back. We're no longer drunk now. We're now aware and awake. And I was plowing. I work on the highways in New York, and I'm plowing snow, and it was my first year plowing, and I would start work at 7:30 in the morning, my regular shift, and then I would start plowing from noon to midnight. And I did that almost all the time. We kept getting 1 inch snows out here. I don't know what that is, metric speaking. I suck at that stuff. So, all my peeps in the UK, I'm sorry. But an inch of snow is about like that big. So we're called out anyway. And I'm literally out there all day, and I'll get back home and my family's asleep, and my son would wake up at 2:30 in the morning every single day. He actually woke up 2:30 last night too, but he went back to sleep. But every single day at 2:30 in the morning, my son would wake up and he wouldn't go back to sleep until 8 o'clock in the morning. And he's not playing with toys. He's not watching TV and going, chilled out. He's kicking, he's screaming, he's yelling, he's scratching, he's biting to the point where it bleeds. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I lost it, everybody. I lost it. The AA speaker who you invited here today lost it. And I literally was about to hit my son and I was about to hit my son. I love I just love talk. I like getting vulnerable with you guys. And I was about to do it. In the fifth steps, it talks about when we do a fifth step, we do a person or persons with multiple people. When you get vulnerable, not with just one person, but with many, you start to be vulnerable all the time. You rip that mask off. You don't need to hide anymore. There's no more fear and tension where I'm walking around with things are weighing me down, which causes for more drinking or sprees, like gambling sprees, sex sprees, all that other stuff. I have none of that because I get vulnerable all the time. I'm an individual who makes mistakes, and mistakes are just invitations to lessons learned. I was about to hit my son, but something stopped me. You could call it grace again, but something stopped me. And I started rubbing the shoulders of my son, and he went to sleep. And later on that night, guys, I had a dream about drinking. This is 6 years into recovery. I haven't had a dream about getting drunk in a very, very long time. And I made amends to him and the next morning, and that lasted for about a few months, everybody. Actually, a little bit longer, probably like 6 or 7 months. And right before I went to California, I was a month ago, 2 weeks prior to that, I'm in the elevator with a guy, and my son is in the elevator. Well, what he started to do, he started to press all the buttons of the elevator. And my elevator is a pain in the butt, everybody. It sucks. In New York, I don't know if you guys know about New York elevators. They're not that great. And every floor is like 10 seconds, and that feels like forever. And my son started pressing every single button because he just wants to press all the buttons. And I'm holding him back like a bobcat, like, ah, come on, buddy. And and there was this guy in there, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry, buddy. Like, my son's autistic, and I'm trying my best to control him. He's like, hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I had my head down. And yet again, this is a long elevator ride, right? So I had my head down. I have this shame and embarrassment to view me in a specific way. And another old personality of mine. I want people to like me, right? That's always what I've been like that for a very long time. Yet again, that had to die, but I didn't know that it was alive. That was kind of cool. Thanks, guys. I don't know where that came from. Okay. And I look, and the guy looks, he's like, hey, man, I just want to he's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? I was like, yeah. Yeah, again, this is still in the elevator. Right? And he's like, I just want to let you know, I lost my son. So, sorry for your loss. I think that was the only thing I could say. And I got off the elevator. My son will jet to the other side, and he likes to run in the hallways. He just likes just running in between the hallways. And I'm walking towards the door just to open the door, unlock it so that we could both get in. I'll go grab him. And it hit me in that moment without my son. It hit me in that moment. My own life not that bad. But I would never trade the happiest moment I had today for the best moments I had in the past. My son is my love. He is my heart. I see God through his face. I actually see uh, the reflection, or I see fingerprints, or I see the mirrors of God with all your faces as well. Back to the intense love for every single one of God's children. That day, something came out of there extremely strong and is still carrying me today. With power, you could call it a relationship with God, you could call it a spiritual experience, you could call it whatever. I'm pretty positive I let go absolutely, and God transformed me into someone, a different relationship with my son today. I look at him as my greatest mentor, my greatest teacher. I watch him move and operate. He smiles all the time. And I'm like, I want to smile like you all the time. How do you do it?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Terry.